Well, good evening, everyone. Meteorologist Michael Wilhite here with Southern Indiana weather. It is February 19th, and it is 6:48 p.m. Eastern Time here. And we've got a mess headed our way for tomorrow, and not a wintry mess like we have been used to. For the first time this year, and really for the first time in a couple of months, we face the threat of some severe weather. And it looks like it could get pretty rough around here, some of our places, all right? Today's video update is being sponsored by High Voltage Mobile DJ Service. You can contact Nathan at the number here on your screen, 630-9465. Be sure to visit him on the web at djhighvoltage.com and tell him Southern Indiana Weather sent you. You got the beginnings of the storm system out here over Missouri towards the Kansas City area starting to move this way. That'll get more impressive overnight. It does look like we're going to face some thunderstorms activity overnight tonight. Probably isn't going to happen this evening. It looks like it is going to be overnight tonight before that happens. Not looking for any severe overnight, but tomorrow afternoon, that is when our attention turns to a potentially severe weather type of situation. I'll show you this graphic here in a minute. Many of you have seen this on Facebook. Let me back out here and just show you the wider view on it first. Slight risk for severe weather has been issued by the Storm Prediction Center, and I showed you this map out on Facebook earlier today as well. All of us are in a 30% risk here in Southern Indiana. Some of us as far north as Indianapolis go up to the 15% risk, but most of us, at least here in the southern portions of the state, are in the 30% risk, which is an upper end slight risk. They are considering upping that to a moderate risk. Now, whether they do or not, we don't know. They'll have the next update out at 1 a.m. tonight, so we'll see what they do whenever that comes out. Whether they up us up to a moderate risk or whether we keep at a slight risk, regardless, either way, it's going to be a rough situation, and this is going to be one that you pay attention to, folks. The hatched area here is what the SPC, the Storm Prediction Center, considers to be a significant severe weather event. And basically what it is a 10% or greater probability of a significant severe weather event within 25 miles of any point in that hatched area. So, define what that is, a significant event. I know it's a vague term. Basically, it's just an area that the Storm Prediction Center is pinpointing. This is where we believe the worst of the severe weather will happen. Think of it that way. Let me tighten it in just a little bit where we can see it, overlaying it. I threw this together I took the SPC data, put it into Google Earth, and was able to make this map. It's able to, you can see it a little bit easier. The blue that you see on this is what the hatched area was with that. This is the significant severe weather event. Don't let that scare you. I know that the term could be a little bit ominous, but basically, again, this is just where they believe the area of greatest concern is for severe weather tomorrow. Now, what do you say? Well, what if I live right on the border of that? Don't be exactly so concerned about where that circle is drawn. What they're doing is just giving you the general idea of the placement. They're not saying, well, my county is cut halfway through. They're not going by county when they drew this. They're literally just drawing points on the map and putting it out there as quickly as they can for you. So pretty much all of us are under a risk tomorrow for severe weather. But just take this with a grain of salt. I really believe that this significant severe weather could go up several more counties, and it may tonight. We'll see what they do. But this gives you an indication, regardless, that tomorrow is going to be one we watch. Impacts-wise, again, a squall line is likely late afternoon and evening. We'll time it out here in a minute. Tornado impacts are a medium. This are my classifications, not the SPC. This is just to give you an idea. Damaging winds are the greatest threat with this. Now, the tornado risk cannot be ruled out, but damaging straight-line winds, I wouldn't be surprised at all to see just blanket severe thunderstorm warnings up and down this line as it comes through tomorrow night. And I would not be surprised at all if we see some of them be warned for 80-mile-per-hour winds. I'm just going to put that out there. 70-mile-per-hour winds and 60-mile-per-hour winds are likely, but I would be surprised if a few of these end up with the dynamics that we have in play in the upper atmosphere. Would not be at all surprised to see some of these have an 80-mile-per-hour wind gust on them. So be aware of that. The damaging wind threat is extremely high. The hail threat is pretty low. The graphic that I posted on Facebook earlier today, I made an error on. I had this as medium, but the last time I used this graphic, I guess back in December, I just reused these graphics and put the new data over them, and frankly, I just didn't change it. It is low, and my apologies for that. I'm not worried about hail at all tomorrow. We may see a little bit, but large damaging hail, I don't see that as a main risk for us. Flooding, again, flooding is especially going to be a risk for our small streams. Not worried so much about the Ohio River and the Wabash and bigger streams overflowing the banks too bad out of this tomorrow. But we do look like we could get an inch and a half of rain out of this, and some of our small creeks are already full or near full from the snow melt that we've had the past few days. So that is certainly a risk. All right, that's kind of what to expect. I'll update this again. I'll have another one of these videos tomorrow morning pretty early on, so look for that whenever you get up tomorrow, folks. All right. Let me show you real quick one thing pointed out about their wording before we get into timing everything out. This is wording from the SPC, spc.noaa.gov. If you really want to find it, it's technical, but let me just show you this. What they're thinking is they're showing blah, 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 nerdy nerd stuff here. Look at this. A very fast-moving QLCS could lead to widespread damage and winds. QLCS is just a squall line, quasi-linear convective system, if you want the little four-letter acronym there. But it's just basically a line of severe thunderstorms. Could lead to widespread damage and winds across parts of far southern Indiana. That's where we're at. And portions of western and central Kentucky into portions of western and middle Tennessee. And then look at this. Strong low-level speed shear could lead to a few tornadoes as well. So they're even mentioning the risk on this for a few tornadoes as well. So take note on this tomorrow. We are all going to be under the gun as far as that goes. Why? Because, well, frankly, I need to get this up here. Temperatures will actually warm through the night. By the way, we'll bottom out around 40 in the middle of the night before it starts to warm up again before tomorrow morning. But just look at the temperatures as you go throughout the day. Here, by the time you get into late afternoon hours, we're almost 70 in Evansville. It's got us, the high-resolution NAM has got us progged to be 67 degrees in Evansville. It does get up to 70 in Louisville, and even 60s as far north as almost Indianapolis. This is ridiculously warm weather. Break out the shorts, you know. Enjoy it because, you know, even though it's going to lead to some severe weather, the break in temperatures is certainly going to be nice, but unfortunately it does come with a price. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see some of these numbers climb up a little bit higher. I think 70 is in play tomorrow. I'm forecasting mid-60s for our area, but if we get a little bit extra breaks in the sunshine, yeah, I certainly would believe that it is possible. Wind speeds are also going to be a big concern tomorrow, even outside of the severe thunderstorms, all right? Here's forecasted wind speeds tomorrow afternoon, and the green shades, as you see over here, are at least 20 knots and even going up to as far as 25, 26 knots through here. Basically, if you do the conversion, we're talking about a 25 to 30 mile per hour wind, and that's a sustained wind. That's not with gusts. Because of that reason, the National Weather Service in Louisville has actually issued a wind advisory for some of their counties. Now, not everybody has issued the wind advisories yet. Don't know if the other Weather Service offices will or not, but regardless of whether you're under an official wind advisory or not, this goes in effect at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning for Du Bois, Orange, Crawford, Perry, you know, and then Washington and Harrison and Floyd, Clark, Scott, and Jefferson counties here. So those counties are underneath of the wind advisory. But even if you're not under the wind advisory, it's still going to be quite windy tomorrow, so keep that in mind. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if we see gusts, even just outside of the thunderstorm, being upwards of, 35, 40 miles per hour. So that can certainly knock over some power lines and do some damage as well. Let's talk about the squall line. Let's look at future radar and sort of time this booger out. All right, what this is the high-resolution NAM, and we're looked at about 7 p.m. tomorrow night, and that's got the line of severe thunderstorms. You can see it setting up quite nicely right along the Ohio River. Notice how it's bowing as it moves through here. That's an indication of a very fast-moving storm system, and I would not be surprised at all to see this line moving at 60 or 70 miles an hour as it races to the west-northwest across our area, all right? And then it will take a little bit before it clears the area, but it's not going to take that long in the whole scheme of things. Here you are at 7 o'clock. Here's 8. By the time you hit 9 o'clock, it's already into the Louisville area. Here's 10 o'clock, and it's leaving southern Indiana. So you got about a 4-hour window to cover the entire state here. That's a pretty fast-moving squall line in the whole scheme of things. So, and we're going to have to take a watch also for what storms might fire up. Let me just throw this on here for you, too. Here's the overnight hours in tonight. You notice a few of those that are developing on radar right now. You see what they blow up into overnight here, and we get a few of those moving through our area. So we'll probably get some rain overnight. A good 60% chance is what I'm calling for. Get a few popcorn showers pop up tomorrow. We'll have to watch to see if any of those go severe. It's possible, but the main line is what the big action is of what we're thinking of as far as this point goes. Here we are at 4 o'clock tomorrow, and you got the line setting up towards St. Louis and getting well defined. You do have a few isolated storms ahead of it, and we'll have to watch those because anything that does sort of go rogue on its own could go severe pretty quickly. We'll have to see how that goes. But then again, very quickly again after that, you see the line just absolutely races through the area. So according to the NAM, pretty much after 7 o'clock is the way it's thinking. We have a few other future radars that we could show you. I won't go through all of them here, but the NMM model takes us at about 8 o'clock before it gets by the Wabash River, so that's a little bit slower than the NAM model. The ARW is a little bit faster. Here we are by 7 o'clock, and it's already partly through Indiana. It's probably over here towards past Princeton and in between Princeton and Du Bois County at this point, closer towards the Evansville area. So again, it's a little bit faster. Really, anytime after 6 o'clock is when I think we're going to be under the gun tomorrow night as far as severe weather goes for this shape. All right. Let me just sort of show you some of the severe weather parameters here as well, just to give you an idea of what we're facing. We're still facing a very significant severe weather threat because of a number of things. Again, here's surface winds. It's going to be windy, but let me just throw a couple of these on here for you to illustrate. Not a whole lot has changed in this data. It's just very significantly, if it ever decides to load here, I'll show you the low-level jet. Absolutely impressive. We're looking at 60 and 70 knots of a low-level jet over us. That's, a 70-mile-per-hour low-level jet. That is ridiculously fast, and that's wind speeds, keep in mind, about 4,000 to 5,000 feet above us. So very powerful wind energy, and if we go to the surface, I want you to notice the shape that this low pressure is taking, and you start to see a negative tilt on it. A negative tilted low is what we want to see if you do want severe weather. Basically what it does is sort of acts like an extra sucking action on it to just suck up moisture from the Gulf of Mexico. That kind of promotes instability. It helps lift in the atmosphere when you get a negatively tilted trough like that. So again, all the signs are pointing to a pretty bad severe weather event as far as that goes. And we could go through some of these others. Again, we've got good shear as well. A tornado threat is certainly there. It's lower than the damaging wind threats, but you see the red is your surface winds and the blue is your winds at the 500 millibar level, which is about 18,000 feet up, and you see the different directions, and you see the different wind speeds as well. So that speed shear and the directional shear, again, that's enough to produce a few tornadoes tomorrow. I would not rule that out under any means. And again, these storms are going to be booking it. Plenty of instability to work with as well. Here's what the high resolution NAM says for CAPE. CAPE is convective available potential energy. Again, that's just the amount of energy these storms have in the atmosphere to be able to fire. Plenty of energy. This time of the winter time, you only need 100 to 500 units is more than sufficient. You start to get into these greens and you're upwards of 11 and 1200 units. So plenty of that to go with tomorrow as far as that's concerned. Cloud cover is also going to be something that we have to worry about. We've got clouds. Here's your forecast satellite. This is the forecast infrared satellite. So the brighter colors here are showing the higher clouds. You see this move through. Here's your line of severe thunderstorms starting to develop out to the west, and notice the break in clouds in between it. That's a bad thing tomorrow because that's just funneling and creating that instability more and more as it goes through it. And you see we get those. We get a little bit of that sunshine before the line rolls through. So again, that's just going to fuel things even more as far as that's concerned. A couple other things we could take a look at. The supercell composite parameter. Again, we see the very real threat for some supercells potentially ahead of this line. Future radar indicates that there could be a few showers. So again, that's something that we'll be watching ahead of this line. Supercells are not the main threat tomorrow. The Squall Line will be the main threat, but we will have to watch any line, any storm that does fire ahead of that main line to see if it goes rogue because the parameters are certainly there for those supercells to form. And then the significant tornado parameter, the STP. Again, whenever you get values these highs, you watch out for the potential for tornadic development, and it's not off the charts high, but it's there. So again, it's something that we are absolutely going to have to watch out. All right. So bottom line, it's going to be absolutely a mess around here tomorrow with the severe weather. You can go to southernindianaweather.com. You can get your 7-day forecast. Going down to around 40 tonight, and that's going to be probably reached during the mid-overnight hours. We're going to warm up a little bit before the morning times. Scattered showers and thunderstorms are likely overnight tonight, and it will be breezy. Tomorrow, I'm forecasting a high of 66. Yes, some of our counties closer to the Ohio River could go even warmer than this. 70 is certainly in play tomorrow if we see the sunshine that the models are predicting we do. Mostly cloudy during the day, except for those little breaks. Very windy. Again, the wind advisory in effect for most of us. Unseasonably warm. Slight risk for severe weather. That may get upgraded to a moderate risk tonight. We'll keep updated, but it's going to be a rough night as you go throughout this. And then by the time we get beyond this, we stay near 50 and then down to the 40s for over the weekend. But you know, it's going to be a rough day, but we will be here tracking. Also on our website, don't forget you can get a great interactive radar that you can track these storms right to your house as they move over you. I'll have another one of these video updates in the morning with the latest updates. For Southern Indiana weather, I'm meteorologist Michael Wilhite. Stay safe.